Hi everybody and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to talk to you about the #1 skill you need to really make it as a homesteader. Hi, my name's Corinne, and here at Spirea, I share videos that weave together plant wisdom, holistic health, self-sufficiency with just a dash of magic. If this sounds interesting to you, I'd love for you to stick around. So we've had a week.
We've had a week.
Yeah, and if it wasn't for this #1, I'm calling it a skill, but it's also kind of an attitude.
For sure.
It's resiliency. If you can't adapt to whatever your homestead, nature, all of those things throws at you, you're not cut out for this lifestyle.
It could be predators, it could be extreme weather, it could be having to spontaneously build a composting toilet.
Yeah. So, you want to talk about our week? We should talk about our week.
It's really just the last few days. Well,
No. It was a week.
it was a week.
It was a week. So
It was a week. It was days of me digging out our septic tank.
Yeah.
On frozen ground. That was fun.
Yeah. So I'll give a bit of background. We are on grid here at our homestead. Our hope is that eventually we will build an off-grid kind of self-sustaining homestead. But for now, this was kind of our first step, which means we are reliant on things like hydro or electricity. We're reliant on wells and well pumps, and we're reliant on septic systems. And so I think it was Monday. Was it Monday or Sunday?
It was Monday.
When the toilet was no bueno. She was not flushing. And luckily water in the rest of the house was still going like smoothly and making its way out to the septic tank. But the toilet was proving to be a bit of an issue. And this is where you can take over, because what did you have to do for like 3 days?
Well, so this happened to us before, and snaking it, doing all the things that I'm comfortable with, wasn't working last time. So the plumbers came out. They're great guys, and they opened the tank to the septic. This happened in spring or summer because it wasn't a big deal to open the tank. And they just unclogged the baffle, and now we know what a baffle is because we had to look that kind of stuff up.
Yep, and we had to learn.
So they unclogged it. So I thought, hey, that's probably what's going to have to happen again. However, we've had a cold snap of minus 30 degree weathers.
Which is Celsius, minus 30 degrees Celsius, but damn cold.
And the brilliant owners of the house prior to us actually constructed a deck over the septic tank. So that was fun. It's not like if I could swing a pickaxe, I would have had it, chipped away a lot sooner. But instead, it was a bit of a nightmare.
So it took you a few days.
It took me a few days to get the tank, to be able to open the tank. Which then came apart in 2 pieces. But that's another...
Not the tank, the lid.
The lid.
So essentially we did end up having, and thank goodness for external systems. That's the other thing too. I think resiliency comes with the skill of also knowing when you need outside help and not being too proud. So the whole concept of homesteading is self-sufficiency. And I kind of adapt that self-sufficiency model to include your community, because we only live on a half acre. We can't raise all the animals. We can't raise enough food. I can't grow wheat here so that I don't have to buy wheat berries from somewhere else. So it's learning about making connections in your community. And thankfully we have some local plumbers that we trust, because even after Paul got the lid off and, was poking at the baffle, because that's sort of the limitation of our plumbing skills, still, nothing was really working. And it turns out that we have a weeping bed issue or a weeping tile issue.
So it's not draining out to the weeping tiles, which if you don't have a septic system, you don't really understand what we're talking about. If you do, the second someone says the word septic system and problem, you're in it for thousands and thousands of dollars, potentially tens of thousands of dollars. So talking to the plumber, because it seemed like doing dishes, showering, even flushing #1.
Liquid waste.
#1, urine.
This is a family channel.
Urine down the toilet it was going fine. So
Yes.
the recommendation was, you really want to limit the amount of solids you put down the drain. It's like, well,
Or he was saying that we should flush like 5 or 6 times afterwards.
yeah, which we don't want to do because I understand that'll clear maybe a potential clog, but if our septic bed isn't going out to the weeping tiles, why do we want to put more liquid into the septic?
Yeah, I mean, essentially what we're going to have to do at this point, and this is where resiliency comes in, being able to adapt. What are our short-term solutions? What are the long-term solutions? And, how are we going to be able to pivot and function as a family, still being clean and healthy? And so our solution was to come up with a temporary solution of building a composting toilet. And we need to do this to limp us along because, again, like we're going down to minus 27, I think, again tonight. We've got a couple of nights where it's like minus 32. Like we can't dig up the weeping bed right now. So we actually built a composting toilet. And I want to kind of reiterate that neither one of us, we don't have carpentry backgrounds. We were both raised suburban. Went to the grocery store for your food. You hired people to do things, or just didn't do them in my family's case. Love you, Mom and Dad, if you're watching this.
So honestly, I mean, it was a great experience because it's essentially a box, and building a box sounds really easy, but there are many areas to screw up building a box.
Yeah, there are.
Right? Like the cuts had to be right. Drilling the holes first. There's all these things that, thankfully, YouTube is obviously a big helpful for anybody if you're learning how to do something, right?
Yeah. So. And I'm going to put a huge shout out to Off Grid with Doug and Stacy. Everything I know about composting toilets, and I'll link their channel. It's up here, right? He always has to remind me which direction.
Yeah, but I'm always on that side of the camera. It is this one.
It's up here. I'll link their channel up here. If you guys want to get into anything off-grid, check them out because everything I know about composting toilet systems, I know from Off Grid with Doug and Stacy. They are awesome.
Now, you've wanted a composting toilet for a while now. Like you've wanted a backup because there's 3 of us, there's 1 bathroom in the house, and sometimes bowel schedules collide.
Even not just that, like, someone's in the shower and you have to use the washroom, right? I just always wanted to have just a secondary. Anywho, we took some really great footage of the building of this, so I will...
But I didn't want I was reluctant because I was worried about things like sanitary issues or the smell or things like that. And for real, once you look into the composting toilets and you hear enough people talking about them, or you even try it yourself with either sawdust or we're using pine shavings, I swear the bathroom smelled worse before.
That's probably because I've been telling you to fire the maid for years. I'm the maid. I do keep things clean, but we also limited how often, because it's a very old septic system, we limited how often we flushed. But anywho, the composting toilet system's a dream. So what we'll do is we'll phase into showing you guys some of the construction of it because Paul had to learn, or he got a new tool, a jigsaw. Like these are things that you're going to have to become comfortable with. Building garden boxes. What are you going to do when a mink wipes out all of your chickens? Yeah, that's happened here too. What are you going to do when your entire property floods? What are you going to do when you have crop failures? And so if you don't have the ability to, have the right attitude, there's a lot of people, the concept of a septic system not functioning in winter, that would just break them. And you've got to be able to think on your toes, keep a positive attitude, find solutions for your problems.
Use what you have,
and be willing to learn new skills. Like this spring, we're going to have to learn how to replace our weeping bed.
Shout out to my dad for help.
Oh, yeah, he was a big help. So I hope you enjoyed our little video montage of the building of the composting toilet. It really is a simple but super effective system.
It was fun.
Yeah, I always like that's the thing. Like that's what I mean about the attitude, right? Like we turned it into a fun weekend project. And it allowed us to be able to sharpen up our skills.
Solve a problem.
Solve a problem. You got a new tool. You're always looking for an opportunity to get a new tool. That's true. And the reason why I really wanted to film this is because I'm starting to notice a trend in my community, amongst my family and friends, that a lot of people are talking more about a homesteading kind of lifestyle, being more self-sufficient. They want to get out of the city. They're nervous about food shortages. This is a really uncertain world right now. And people are kind of thinking, oh, well, maybe all those farmers and homesteaders, they might be on the right track here. So you have to either already be resilient or recognize that you're going to be going into a situation where things are going to be hard, right?
And challenges are just opportunities.
Yes. And so it's about that attitude, but also having the skill to be able to pivot and not kind of get stuck in tunnel vision that problems can only be solved in one way. So I'd love for you to share in the comments, like when have you on your homestead or in your, maybe in your vegetable garden or even just your regular day life, when have you had to adapt, use resiliency? And if you have any questions about the composting toilet thing, you're welcome to leave those below too. We are new to it. So again, check out Off Grid with Doug and Stacy. Love those too. And until next time, this is Correne
and hubby
from Spirea Herbs, wishing you health and wellness.